If you are a queer, heart-centered entrepreneur, especially a coach or a healer and maybe a therapist, you may be wondering, how do I build a business that actually feels good? And an answer is you make it an act of love. Let's talk about what that really means and why it might change everything for you. My name is Elizabeth, and I talk about relationships, particularly LGBTQIA plus, polyamorous, and relationship anarchy, as well as coaching, business, and entrepreneurship. So if those topics interest you, you might find my channel interesting. And I would love to have you hit the subscribe button or just like this video because that actually really does help small creators like me. So thank you so much. So, what I mean when I say that your business needs to be an act of love is that it's an act of love for yourself, for the people that you serve, and also an act of love for your community or your mission, or maybe it's an act of love for the world. Maybe that is a part of your mission is to see something happen in the world. And so it's happening on multiple levels. Your business is an act of love for yourself because it's an expression of yourself. It's an expression of what you want to provide, what you want to see, how you want to help people in the world. It's an act of love for your clients or whatever service you're providing because that is the vehicle through which you are helping people. You are creating things in the world that are making it a better place in some way. Like for myself as a LGBTQIA plus and polyamorous relationship coach, it has been an absolute honor for me to see the ripple effect that my clients have when they are able to come from love, build healthier relationships, learn tools and skills that we've never been taught before, and be able to create their own blueprint, not just for themselves, but for their partners. And so my business is an act of love for my clients, but it's also a ripple effect to all the people that they're now going to impact because of what they got from working with me. And it's an act of love for your community because of that ripple effect. But it could be an act of love for your community because of the other things that you offer. Maybe you have group programs, or maybe you have workshops, or I've done a lot of things. Like I've done group programs, I've done workshops, I've done massive online events that have brought in thousands of people. I've brought other professionals together inside of what I do because my business is an act of love. And so I'm constantly creating inside of like, how could this be better? How could this be more service driven, heart centered? Like, how can we involve more people in this? And not to say that if your business is an act of love, you have to involve as many people as possible. But since it is an act of love, that's where it has taken me because it's given me that creative freedom to do that. It's also an act of love for your mission and for the world because, again, it has a ripple effect. One of the things that I heard actually during the pandemic was to think about how every single person is like a wedding party. When there's a wedding, usually there's somewhere between 100 to 200 people that you could invite to that wedding. Some people are less, some people are more, but that's like average. You have between 100 to 200 people to invite. And so imagine that every single person that you are interacting with, they have a ripple effect to 100 people. That's pretty incredible. And so I want to talk to you about three specific things that are why I think your business needs to be an act of love for you, for your clients, and for your mission and your community and everyone. Like, why? And a little bit about how this got started for me is that I have been a coach for 8 years. And not only have I been specializing in relationship coaching, but I also have done and still do coaching inside of leadership and entrepreneurship. And now I do business growth coaching too. But when I started, one of the first training programs that I did was inside of leadership and entrepreneurship. And so I have coached and also worked with entrepreneurs And before I took my business full time, I was able to learn from the things that really worked for them, but also the things that I saw missing in their business. And one of the things that I saw worked or was missing was this your business as an act of love. And this in any business. Like one of the people that I'm thinking of where their business is an act of love was a real estate agent. They weren't a relationship coach, they weren't a therapist, they weren't a healer, and their business absolutely was an act of love. They poured into themselves, their clients, their business, the people that they worked with, their colleagues, like everything that they did was from an act of love. And the other person that I'm thinking of where this was missing was a web designer. They were really good at what they did and they offered really amazing services, but their business was not an act of love. It was almost like an act of necessity. Like they had to do the business in order to like have a side hustle outside of their regular job, which their regular job was paying them plenty of money. So it's not like they were like, "Oh, I need to have an extra side hustle for the money." It was like they had to have this job out of necessity and were like trying to prove something, or like they just weren't happy in their full-time job and so they were trying to find happiness in another job. And when I think about these two people, and I can list off a bunch of other different examples, but like when I think about these two people, the person who their business was this act of love, like there was this sense of joy and creativity. And even when things were difficult or challenging, because as a business owner, like as an entrepreneur, stuff is gonna get hard. That's just what's gonna happen. There's gonna be challenges. But when I saw this person who really was coming from this act of love, like they had this resilience and they had this ability to continue to be creative. Like it was almost like they had this like endless well to draw from. And the person who the business was more of a necessity or almost to prove something. They didn't have a lot of creativity. They got really stuck and frustrated and stressed a lot more because it was more of a have to. It was like a pushing of what's that Greek mythology where he pushes the rock up the hill continuously. It was more like that sort of energy because it really wasn't like from their soul. It wasn't from their heart. And so I really think that this makes a difference in the quality of your work and your ability to stay a happy, healthy person, which is important when you are building a business and running a business. It's important that you are staying happy and healthy to the best of your ability. And so I really saw this as a huge missing piece to the success of a business, and not just from a logistical standpoint, but from like a health standpoint and a quality of life standpoint. But then that bled into the logistics of the business being better. Because the other thing too is that the person who was coming from love was doing a lot better in their business than the person who wasn't. And so that inner resource really does spill out into other areas of your life. And I've felt that too in times in my business where that it really has been an act of love. But there's been times in my business where it's been hard to come from that place. When the rent is due, it's hard to be like, oh, everything is an act of love. But in being able to tap back into that and that being like a core foundation of your business, it does help you keep going. Anyway, these are the three reasons why I think as a mission driven entrepreneur, coach, therapist, healer, that your business needs to be an act of love. So the first point is that if you're only building your business for money, that you are going to burn out, especially when you are a service driven business and probably as a product driven business as well. I have had businesses that are more product driven, but they haven't had the amount of success as my service driven businesses. So I can't as well speak to those things. But when you build your business as an act of love, for yourself, for your clients, for your community, it becomes a home. It becomes a place where you can be and grow rather than something that you need to hustle at. And people will feel that. People will feel that energy from you, and your energy will shift other people's energy. I remember there was a enrollment call that I had with a potential client who was going to join one of my group programs several years ago, and on enrollment calls, I like to give space for people to ask me questions, right? Part of the enrollment is like getting to know each other and also making sure that all of your questions get asked before you start to work with me. And they asked, why do you do this? Like, why relationship coaching for queer and polyamorous people? And I just like spoke from my heart and shared why this was my chosen path and why I do what I do. I have some videos about that if you want to look in my video archive. And one of the things that they reflected back was like, I can really tell how passionate you are about this and how much your heart is in this. And they said yes to working with me. And they actually still work with me to this day because they were like, saw how this is not just a transaction to you. Like, this is a service. Like, I know that sometimes we think about service as a transaction, but when you have a business that comes from love, like the service is a service. It is not a transaction. And that's what they felt from me. And that's why they chose to work with me. So that's one way that the ripple effect can happen when you have a business that comes from love. The other thing about having a business where you're not just doing it for the money is an act of love is that it will be baked into the ethos of your business. When you plan, when you write out your mission and your values, when you create your offers and your programs, it becomes baked into what you are doing and how you are doing it rather than coming from the perspective of how much money do I need to make and what's going to make me the most amount of money. And, we're talking about business. And so, like, you still need to make enough money to live a quality life and put a roof over your head and food on the table and all that stuff. It's not that money isn't a part of it. It's just that money is not the only driving factor of what you are doing when you are coming from that act of love. Money starts to be a part of your business and not the why of your business, right? Which is very different. The second thing of why your business needs to be an act of love is because love gives you the motivation to keep going. Business is hard. Business is challenging. There are going to be so many opportunities for growth that you can't even think about right now as you're starting out. It's like building a relationship. It's like, anything big that you do in your life. I don't have children, but if you have a kid, you don't have all the answers when you have the baby. You know as much as you know, and then you learn as you go. And like it's the same with a business. But when your business is an act of love, when those challenges and those learning curves present themselves, then it's easier for you to continue to stay motivated, to keep going because you have this intrinsic why of why you're doing what you're doing, why you're going through all of these hard things to make all of this work. So having your business be an act of love is definitely a lot more motivational. And it's a lot easier to stay connected to why you started this business in the first place. And the third point is something that I talked about in my story earlier, which is that love makes it more fun. Love makes it more creative. Love makes it more expressive. There's this openness to having your business be an act of love that's not available when it's just driven by like a need or like a scarcity or like a necessity or have to do something. That's when you get into that grind mode. And not to say that like you won't feel that if your business is an act of love, but it's easier to get back to an act of love if that's where you're coming from in the first place. And then when you tap into that, it's easier to be more expansive, be more creative, see where you can continue to go, and then have fun along the way. When your business is an act of love, like it's okay to like experiment and even not do well. Like it's okay to have compassion and understanding for yourself, right? Like it's okay for it to be a journey rather than like a destination that you have to reach because business is absolutely a journey and not a destination. And so having this perspective of your business as an act of love is going to help you continue on this journey. If this message resonated with you today and you're ready to build your business or you're ready to have your business be more sustainable and start to grow in 2025, then I'd love to invite you to my Love Mastery Business Academy that's starting in August. This is where I'll guide you through the exact processes that I have used to help heart centered, mission driven coaches building thriving, aligned businesses without burning out. And this program isn't just for coaches, but it's also for therapists and healers or service providers if you felt that this message resonated with you. Click the link below to apply and book a call with me. I'd love to see if this program is a good fit for you and we're a good fit for working together. Thank you so much for watching. And remember that business is your art, your love, and our revolution. I'll see you in the next video.